Good morning.
And how we all doing?
Oh, I'm fine. I don't know for the other side, Right?
Well, there are a few people in the Republic who won't be fine this morning. Raymond.
Yeah.
It's because of some advice that has been given.
This is very terrible advice.
It's okay. Good morning, Raymond. Good morning, Eniwa.
Good morning. I wanted to deliver some lines to
Eniwa,
but
the beat is still playing.
No.
What lines did you want to deliver?
Yeah.
Really, Raymond? I love how he says that if poverty, if
I am poor, then Father, please bless me with poverty.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah. That's I mean, Charlie, we need to call them more true because someone has just been delivered.
Because it looks like the response is not working properly. But some people are also saying that Manifest traveled for a few days and Opana is becoming very popular on that level. You see, you heard the Obiawa on the master level, right?
You see, you people are not being fair. Oh, but see, I'm shocked by the number of people who have just been sharing this. The number of artists, the number of people outside the music sphere. Now, there's a new Sarkodie challenge. People are looking for their pictures with Sarkodie.
Really?
Yes. I have a picture with Sarkodie's picture in a magazine. I don't know if that works, but
you want to cut that one
and Photoshop it. Well, good morning, Sarkodie.
Good morning, Sarkodie. Yeah. Thanks for the advice.
Yeah.
But let's take the front page, shall we?
Now, the Chronicle is reported this morning. The Chronicle is reporting this morning 304 Ghanaians slaughtered on our roads within 3 months, and woman trains frosters for pastors. So if you need one to act in your church for you, she'll do a nice job for you. And that's the story.
I wonder what the school will be called.
Institute of Froster Training for Pastors. Anyway, but Rollins can go naked on murder of judges. That's an editorial in the Chronicle by a book a feature. Rather.
On the front page of the Daily Statesman, Dapa will make wealth from waste. Mahama in Wonderland, Deputy Minister mocks ex-president's openness to Oti region, and speed up new mental health law. CDD urges Parliament, and there's a very, very lovely picture of H. Kwesi Prempeh, who's the CDD boss.
I've not seen anyone describe a lot of pictures as lovely.
It's the same picture too.
The same
picture everywhere.
But it's a lovely picture anyway.
Moving on.
Now, the Business Finder is reporting this morning 400 million Ghana cedis recovered from UT Capital Bank's assets. But don't be happy yet. This is against some 2.73 billion of the total loan stock of the bank in this case.
On the front page of the Today newspaper, NPP will go to opposition if we can't neglect Zongo's DCE files back, and Mahama blames celebrities for his defeat.
Oh, okay. The Daily Guide is reporting this morning 2 Delta Force members caged, and Rollins angry over judge's murder report. There is also a story about no arrest of Lebanese over dollar smuggling, and also Deputy IGP gets 1-year contract. And those are the stories that the Daily Guide is reporting this morning.
The Business and Financial Times, 3 more domestic airlines to start operations in December. And that story about 400 million cedis of UT Capital Bank's debts recovered. Also on the front page of the Business and Financial Times, minimum capital for insurance to go up before the end of the year.
Now, the Ghanaian Times is reporting this morning, mother, 4 others languish in jail. Guess what? For stealing corn. And
corn?
Yes. And also because they just could not cough up 360 Ghana cedis.
Was it roasted or boiled?
No.
Hey, please, are you Enima? My name is Daniel.
Yeah.
Who is this London girl who has joined my studio now?
The corn, no, it was in some bag.
Okay.
Yeah. So, Ghana's prisons choked. There's a story on the front page of the Ghanaian Times too.
Okay, on the back page of the Daily Graphic,
I want the London girl.
Kumasi Court remands Delta Force members in prison custody. 23 suspected criminals arrested at Pokwase. On the front page, there's a thing by the National Petroleum Authority, and they're asking that you let them know your concerns, such as cheating at the pumps, bad customer service, safety issues, and suspected poor quality of fuel. If you have any of these complaints, you can call the NPA on Vodafone toll-free line 0800 12300 0800 12300. Other stories on the front page of the Daily Graphic: press freedom under threat from politicians who own media organizations, NAB to name and shame users of honorary PhD titles, and Justice Jamefe elected president of AMJG.
And by NAB you need National Accreditation Board.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. Raymond,
Now, let's start with the story that you should be interested in. And we'll be running that particular important crimes that shook the nation story.
The special assignment.
Yes, that particular special assignment dealt with the very unending saga around the 1982 killing of judges and the army officer in this particular case, Major Sam Akwa, who is not related to me.
Anyway, please, let's just make it clear.
Yes. Now, the Daily Guide has a story of Rollins being angry over the judge's report, but let me bring you the story rather captured in the Chronicle, because one person that I've not heard from for some time is the one writing on this matter, Ebo Kwanzaa. Now, Ebo Kwanzaa has a very interesting. Yes. He has a nice write-up. He references the story and says that the leader of the so-called revolution and who's watched these murders so far, as he described, were blatantly orchestrated, and which suggested that the man who stood by the political corridors of the nation like a colossus is going bananas over the issue. And he says, this is glory be to God Most High and on LB peace. So he references Rollins' reaction to the documentary, and he says the man who ruled for 19 years with iron fist said rather dishonestly that I dare state that history has been deliberately skewed to make innocent people like himself and some of his fellow coup plotters who constituted the 70th PNDC guilty of the offense. And, well, he says, read the lips of the self-proclaimed Junior Jesus, a whole documentary on the killing of the Major and 3 judges, an unfortunate tragedy that saw hard, swift justice done to the perpetrators under the organized assault. Unlike the organized assault and the killing of the Yana and his 39 elders, for which those perpetrators are yet to see justice. That is what he actually said. In fact, he believes that this is the fundamental difference. One group of 4 saw justice, the other group of 40 did not, and has not, according to Jerry Joe Rollins. And Ebo Kwanzaa says how the abduction of the murder of the 3 judges and an army officer in 1982 came to be equated with a civil conflict that claimed the life of Yana Yakubu, and then he tells everything about the current state of mind of the former president of this country. He proceeds to say that Rollins cannot make a claim of this sort of being innocent because he was in charge of the PNDC at that time, and he makes reference to Rollins' statement on all of these. And he also says that I'm told the founder of the NDC intends to boom when he visits Kumasi in the near future. To be brutally frank, some of us do not care a hoot if Jerry Rollins decides to go naked in Kumasi or Boom Junction. Is that Boom Junction in Kumasi?
I don't know.
Okay. Now, whether
if he had said Accra, maybe I'd have said where Boomerang used to be. I don't know. They all have a boom in the name, right?
No, whether he accepts or not, Jerry Rollins has too much, and I'm quoting him here, has too much innocent Ghanaian blood on his hands already, like Macbeth. All the waters of the Atlantic Ocean would not cleanse him of the innocent blood he has spilled in his effort.
Poetic Shakespearean Ebo Kwanzaa. Mr. Kwanzaa, I would however disagree with you on one point.
Which one?
If Mr. Rollins decides to boom, as for me, I care.
Me too.
As for me, I care.
And he concludes by, if you ask my opinion, I'll tell you that the PNDC masterminded the sordid deed. Jerry Rollins can choose to go without clothes. That would never change the opinion of some of us who lived through those difficult times. The blood of many, including the three judges and the army officer, as well as others like Yaya Boy, Ebrihin, Osei Intifo Ababio, Apostle Barnabas, and many others are on the head of Jerry Joe Rollins. And he has others talking about, late Muhammad Ali once said, Jerry Rollins can run, but he cannot hide. And he's ended by saying, I shall return.
Hey.
Yes, that's
but interestingly, we shall also return because this is just episode 1 of Crimes That Shook the Nation.
Yes.
So, Mr. Kwanzaa, just before you speak too soon, there is another episode.
Let's do that one.
Let's do another Crime That Shook the Nation. Let's see if you agree with us on that point or not. But anyway, let's move on and talk about press freedom, shall we?
Yes, okay. So the former chairman of the National Media Commission, Mr. Cabral Blay, has been speaking, and he says that politicians owning media outlets in Ghana represents one of the greatest threats to media freedom in the country. Now, there are over 400 media outlets, and out of that, he named over 20 very prominent radio stations, TV stations, and newspapers that are owned by politically affiliated people. So he's saying that is a problem. He's questioning how the ownership of these radio stations or TV stations by politicians affects the integrity of media and the ability of journalists to be able to do their job without any problems. The challenge there he raises, though, is that the internet and social media are threatening the relevance of traditional media, and so therefore we're not perhaps making as much money as we could, and so it would be easy to get into bed with politicians as a way of making extra money. He talked about Anas. He also talked about our very own Manasseh Azuri and how they're doing very well keeping public officials accountable. And he further went on to charge journalists to fulfill this higher calling with integrity and with as much.
Media capture is a very serious issue across the world, not just by politicians, but by corporate institutions as well.
Yes.
And my challenge here is how the media has been made to look like a sacrificial profession. There's nothing wrong with the media being a sacrificial profession now, but I believe that if we want to, because Mr. Amihe himself mentioned it, that because of money that other persons may have, they can influence journalists. So we can maybe start addressing that side as well, so that people don't feel like I can never make money if I'm working in the media. And
being straight, not just working in the media, but being on the straight and narrow.
Yes, exactly. Raymond, let's move on, shall we?
Now, the Business Finder is reporting this morning that some 400 million Ghana cedis, and that report's also in the BNFT. Now, 400 million Ghana cedis has been recovered from UT and Capital Bank's assets. This is against some total loan stock of 2.73 billion as we speak today. This is coming from PricewaterhouseCoopers, who we all know are the joint receivers for both the UT and the PricewaterhouseCoopers. Now, they issued a statement which was signed by Eric Nipa. The key component of all of this is that what they have been able to do is to ask the people who owned the UT and Capital Bank to pay up. And some of them have been willing to pay up the amount of money is required in this case. This is because the greatest value of the bank's asset is their loan stock. We did know from the details of the report on UT and Capital that some 70% of the total 3.9 billion of the bank's, and at this time, at the heart of every single problem is the recovery effort to make sure that this 70% is being traced back in there. We know that it is in court. The PricewaterhouseCoopers is in court with the likes of Ibrahim Mahama, who actually has some arrangement with UT Bank and others to make sure that they get the money back from these institutions. It is also telling us that so far as criminal prosecution is concerned, the President of the Republic will say that anybody who will be found culpable will be dealt with. Indeed, Yoko has finished with his report. The report has been given to the people with the powers to prosecute, as the Attorney General's department. Even though we've not heard we are going to court anytime soon, we hope that now that we have seen the trajectory of where the case is, we can now go to Madam Attorney General and her deputies to give us an update on what they are doing in this case. Because many Ghanaians are not really hopeful that these people will be brought to book.
Exactly.
Because some of them are way too powerful.
We must
people.
rewrite the narrative.
Yes, that some people can get away with the crime.
Exactly. This is a fight against impunity.
And those who still con get to be put in jail.
Exactly.
And yet people who altogether, almost 12 billion of our resources have been sunk into the activity for no apparent reason, for not doing any job for the state, for actually being people who have done worse things of state, virtually running down an institution or the financial sector to the ground. We cannot celebrate such people in any way. No. So the action we want to see is line them up if they have done wrong, put them before court, make sure justice is done, so that the Ghanaian can believe in the legal system in the country. So that's why they are saying that, Bank of Ghana is also taking steps. Bank of Ghana also said that they are doing some internal cleaning. We've not seen anybody.
We haven't seen anyone. They said that some people were transferred. We haven't seen anyone being interdicted. We haven't seen anyone being handed over to the authorities for prosecution. This is something that involves 13 billion Ghana cedis and rising. The last time that we met the present head of CBG, Daniel Addo, he mentioned that, look, Daniel, there were things that were going on within these banks that we did not know, and the number keeps going higher. That is the most disturbing aspect of this all. We've only been able to recover 400 million of the loan. That's loans that people took. There's still 13 billion there that we still don't have access to. And so anyone
see, they should do monthly reports. They should let us know updates. Today we are going to court, next month we did this, we did that. This is the only way that people can believe that they are serious about this fight, because it is very dear to every Ghanaian today.
Right. Anymore, let's go on into the prisons, shall we?
Okay, so yesterday there was a multi-stakeholder conference on non-custodian sentencing policy and the zero draft bill. And this caught my attention because this stakeholder conference brought to light the fact that our prisons are choked, overcrowded by 52.9% apparently. So the capacity of the prison is 9,000. Prisons across Ghana is 9,875. At the moment, we have 15,094 people in custody. Now, 87% of prisoners are convicted, but there's 13% of them who are just on remand. So they've been accused, but they have not been convicted. And that is a big problem. So the prisons are choked. It's affecting food service, security, healthcare provision, bedding, education, sanitation, and all those things. So what this bill is looking to do is so that when you commit a crime that is deemed as a lesser crime or as a misdemeanor, you're not sentenced. But the problem with that is that we do not have the infrastructure for restorative and for rehabilitation. And so we're not having places where we can take people who have committed these crimes and reform them or rehabilitate them. So we're just pushing all of them straight into prison.
The prisons which are being choked.
Yes, which are very, very choked.
Raymond, choked by who?
Yes, choked by 4 daughters and their mother who are languishing in jail currently. Perhaps the most nonsensical story you can have. One, your prison is choked. Then these people are just in jail for stealing corn. And yes, and the crux of it is that they couldn't raise 360 Ghana cedis to actually pay the fine that they're supposed to pay. That's why they are in jail for 3 good months. Virtually an entire family.
That's 5 people.
Yes, 5 people.
Yeah.
11. These women, they have kids. 11 of them, they are home. Nobody's taking care of them. They are actually left on their own. Small children who have to go to school on their own, find food on their own. And this family wanted to survive. So a half sack of what's a fertilizer bag, right? The one that they use, the fertilizer bag of maize, in-husk maize, not even any proper maize at all. This is what the family wanted to survive on. And yet, instead of making sure that we give these people a wonderful place to live and give them food to eat so that they feel part of the state, we put them in jail because we ask them to also raise. The people cannot
find
raise
maize.
Food. Yes, but they can find 360 Ghana cedis to find their way out. But the Chief Justice says that any single lawyer in this country, the ones who left school last week, can go to court and get this sentence set aside so that this family can be freed.
But how do they get access to these lawyers? Because if no one tells their story, they're not even known in the first place. So if the Attorney General says this, knowing full well that these people may not have access to lawyers, and our public defender in Ghana is overworked and overstretched, the legal aid system is overworked and overstretched, really, what solution is being presented?
It tells you how this state wants to treat its own. To be fair, the poor always gets to be on the wrong side of the law. In fact, on one side, we cannot put people who have taken almost 3 billion of our money away, but we can make sure that we get some
360
a family
CDs,
that doesn't know today who's going to take care of their kids who are going to school and whether they even go to school, whether the kids will eat this morning. 11 of them. That family is still going to be in jail for the next 3 months.
Family planning, what's up with that?
I'm going to read this quote by Elizabeth Ohene and then we'll move online. She says, and it's on Corruption Watch in Instagram handle, corruptionwatch_GH. She says, it seems to me that stealing is for little people, small people, and corruption is for the big people. When they say you're corrupt, you're invited to be chairman of the church harvest. And when they say you're a thief, you go to jail. My heart goes out to the family members of these particular women. But guys, it's time to go online. And the online news review is brought to you by Zenith Bank in your best interest. Goyle, good energy, and download the Safe Doctor app now from the Google Play. Safe Doctor, the future of better medical care. Now, Goyle, your trusted #1 and biggest indigenous oil marketing company, says, Ayiko to our numerous customers. Your loyalty to the Goyle brand has again been rewarded for the 3rd consecutive year. Goyle is a CIMG Petroleum Company of the Year. We dedicate this award to you, our valued customers, for staying with us through thick and thin. Continue to buy from any of our 300 plus service stations for quality fuel and lubricants. Buy Goyle and let's support the economy. Goyle, good energy. Goyle, Yenara Yedia. Now, Zenith Bank has now obtained the ISO 27001 and PCI DSS certifications. More than ever before, customers of Zenith Bank can be assured of the confidentiality of the information as well as security of our systems, processes, and procedures. So go on, make that move to Zenith Bank today. Open an account with us and sign up for our array of MasterCard and Visa cards. Banking with Zenith Bank is easy, convenient, and secure. Zenith Bank, in your best interest. MyJOyonline.com says, Obuasi SHTS scandal. GES official coached me to deny sexual assault story. Can you believe this, guys? Where a 17-year-old victim of alleged sexual assault at a senior high school in the Ashanti region says an official of GES coached her to deny that her teacher forcibly had sex with her.
It's not conceivable. We tolerate sexual harassment in this country.
We do, yeah.
We are so okay with it. It's one of the things that we don't consider as crimes is the case. And why the teacher is still in the school with the child is also mind-boggling. I thought
Again,
Dr. Duchu clearly stated we're not going to allow that happen.
Now listen to this. Listen to this. The teacher who was accused, see, he admits the girl swept his office and studied there at night during prep time. He admits buying food from town for the girl and intervening when the senior seized her phone, but he denies sexually assaulting her. Now, teachers in the same school have written a petition. They call themselves Concerned Patriotic Teachers of Obuasi Senior High Technical School. They have petitioned the MCE because a male teacher in that school has died of HIV/AIDS 2 years ago, and there's a panic in the school because the teachers often passed the girls around. Yes, they pass the girl like a good book. Charlie, you read finish, give me make a read some. Yeah. So they are saying that because these teachers have been sleeping with the children, they are afraid the children have HIV. And Manasseh just walked into the studio when we were talking. Manasseh has been on this beat. We will be following the story during the show. Wow. Very, very disturbing story. Very, very disturbing story. We can't allow this to continue in this Ghana. Now, a security expert is calling for the IGP to be elected. That's Adam Bona, CEO of Security Warehouse. Good morning, Mr. Bona. It's been a while since we saw you here on the show. Prime News Ghana is quoting the aviation minister, Joseph Ada, who is directing the Ghana Civil Aviation Authority to ensure that it works assiduously to ensure that 3 new airlines undergoing certification become operational by December. One of those airlines is Baby Jet Airlines. We'll be dancing back on on the plane. And BBC.com says Nigeria's 100-year-old death row inmate is seeking a pardon. Celestine Egbenuche is 100 years old and she's been dubbed Nigeria's oldest prisoner. We want to read about her on the BBC.com. It's time for the BBC News at 7. Stay with us. This is the Super Morning Show. We will be going to Obuasi Senior High Technical School to look at that harrowing story. Also, we'll be airing the Joy News Hotline documentary, No Barriers, which looks at women who are breaking the barriers and doing the jobs that they are born to do. Stay with us. You will love it.
Life before